Welcome, good afternoon, and welcome to Preparing Healthy Meals, part of our new series. Next week, we'll be doing great grilling, get you ready just in time for Memorial Day, and then on May the 26th, savory suppers. All right, just a little bit about who we are and what we do. We're with the University of Florida, IFAS Extension. IFAS stands for the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences. We're essentially the College of Agriculture at the University of Florida, which includes teaching, research, and extension. And our team is part of Extension. We're the outreach from the University of Florida down at the local level. And our team members are Dr. Wendy Dahl, who's an associate professor at up at the university. I'm Julie England. I'm in Seminole County and Family and Consumer Sciences agent. Wendy Lynch is in Putnam County as an FCS agent, as well as Marie Eric, and they are both our presenters today. And our presenter next week is going to be Annie Sheldon, who is in Clay County. So just if we have any people who are new to Zoom, if you don't see a chat box, hover over your screen and you should have some controls pop up, and you can just click on chat. You can enter, you can send to all panelists or to panelists and all attendees or all participants, and that's great if you send it to all because other people have the same questions. You can put comments, ask questions, and we'll get to questions at the end. And we will be sending you a short evaluation later today, and we really appreciate you filling it out. And the sooner you fill it out, then you won't get any nagging reminders from us to asking you to fill it out again. And one final disclaimer is the information provided today is for educational purposes, and any reference to commercial product doesn't constitute an endorsement from our team members or from the University of Florida IFAS Extension. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Wendy Lynch in Putnam County.
Thank you so much, Julie, and thanks everyone for joining us again today. Today's webinar, we're going to cover how salads can benefit you and your family. We're going to talk about the versatility of salads in general, and then also a variety of different ways you can prepare your salads. We're going to cover salad safety tips, healthy and delicious dressings that you can make at home, and some tips for salads on the go. And here's a little fun trivia for today. If you didn't know, you do now. May is actually National Salad Month Day. So what better way to celebrate than to share everything about salads? So there's so many ways that we can create a salad, and likely you've all heard the phrase, eat a rainbow of colors, and this is true because each of the veggies and the fruits, obviously with different colors, provide not only different nutrients and benefits, but when it's colorful and you add some right combo of flavors, it just makes it so much more exciting to eat. But we have to remember that just because it's a salad does not mean it's healthier than the regular meal. Salads are going to vary not only in their ingredients, but obviously as well as size. We see this in different restaurants or even at home. So in this chart, you're going to see there's a variety of more of the common salads with a wide range of calories. I reviewed about 5 or 6 restaurants, and this included both fast food and dine-in. And each of these, the calories listed on the right-hand side, this does not include the dressing. So this is just the salad itself. And you can see, again, it's got quite the range of calories, and it's gonna obviously depend on what ingredients and the size of the salad. So while many of us are actually making our salads now from home these days, it's a great way to really be able to control the amount of calories that is in your salad. Of course, when we go to the restaurants, we know a good tip is always to split a salad if you can, if it's one of these higher calorie salads. So one approach to eating a salad is to figure out, how are you going to add this into your daily intake? What are your nutrition goals? Are you eating it as a side dish or maybe as a main entree? So whichever option you choose, salad really is a great way to add in vitamins, minerals to your daily intake. And one of my personal favorites is it also adds fiber, which not only keeps you full, but has a ton of other health benefits as well. And I just think this delicious massage kale salad looks amazing. The warm kale salad on the right, so good. All right, so this was actually my dinner not too long ago on the left-hand side. But so to build, I thought this was a good picture for this. So building a sensational salad. So there's basically going to be about 5 layers that you can include. Of course, there can be more, and each layer is really optional and completely customizable by you. So in this photo, you can see I've got kind of a kale and a salad mix as my base. Then I added in some additional peppers and onion and scallions. And then my protein source, because this was my main meal, I ended up adding some white beans. My topper could have been my corn tortilla, but I liked it on the side. And then in lieu of dressing, I just added some fresh salsa. So let's go ahead and start with our salad base. Now this is where, again, I encourage you guys to get really creative. Go outside of the box, take a second look, or take a second to look through all of these. Anything that you see that maybe you haven't tried before as a salad base. So you can make any combo of salads and think about texture, different flavors. Also, again, as I mentioned, really break out of your normal, typical salad that you might buy, or maybe you pick if you have a garden. What about trying even broccoli slaw as your base? And instead of making it, adding mayonnaise and adding that the typical dressing with that, use that just as your base for your salad. Ooh, what about even shaved Brussels sprouts? So that could be a really exciting new way to go ahead and change up that salad base. It really does have endless possibilities. Go outside of your comfort zone, try something new. And just like the salad base has many options, there are just as many options in the next layer of the salad, which is our veggies. And if you missed our last webinar on plant-powered meals, thrifty and delicious, be sure to check that out. It gives a ton of exciting ways to eat veggies, great resources for recipes, and also links to what's in season. And what a great segue, because what is in season? I wanted to highlight 2 vegetables that are currently in season that you could either add as a base or even a vegetable layer in your next salad. So the first one is Swiss chard. So if you've never seen Swiss chard before, in the picture, you're only seeing the green leafy top, but typically it's going to look like a rainbow celery. That's the only way I know how to describe it. And it's going to have a shiny green leaf topper. The stalks are going to be either white, red, or yellow. And Swiss chard, excellent source of vitamin A and C. So one thing you want to look out for is when you're selecting Swiss chard, avoid any that you see that have, they're not bright green, shiny leaves. They're going to be, if they're yellowed or discolored, definitely choose something different because Swiss chard is considered extremely perishable. You want to be able to use it pretty right away if you can, but 2 to 3 days tops in the fridge, not longer than that. One thing, if you've ever had Swiss chard, it is a little bitter. So if you can harvest it early, the younger leaves aren't going to be quite as bitter as those that are going to be fully mature. One thing you can do is, which is what I did with this particular salad, is you can always saute them, just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, or if you choose your oil of preference, and just saute for just a short time, just takes a little bit out of that, the bitterness out. And Swiss chard pairs really well with garlic, lemon, onion, and mushrooms, which is our next veggie I'm going to talk about. And I even hear it's great with bacon, but maybe that could just be your topper. So next up in season is mushrooms. These are packed with nutrients, which you can see here on the slide. You can purchase mushrooms fresh, dry, canned. When you are choosing fresh, you want to make sure that you're looking for those that are dry and firm. And don't forget, as I mentioned, it does pair well with Swiss chard if you've never tried it. All right, so next up, while this one, this veggie isn't included in the in-season list right now, it is often thought of as an ingredient when preparing salads. And so there are many types of raw sprouts, and I wanted to share a few safety tips if you do choose to eat them. Because sprouts are grown in warm, humid settings, for those of us in Florida, welcome. This is what we experience daily. But because they are grown in that setting, it's perfect environment for bacterial growth such as E. coli, Listeria, and Salmonella. So you want to thoroughly wash those sprouts before eating and choose the sprouts that are only going to be crisp, and that have been refrigerated. And the FDA, I want to read their statement. They said, FDA stated that even if just a few harmful bacteria are present in or on the seed, the bacteria can grow to high levels during sprouting, even if you're growing in a sanitary condition at home. So many of the pathogens, or basically the bad bacteria that can make us sick, can survive on the seed for months, which I didn't know that. I thought that was incredible. I remember my mama used to grow these in our kitchen. So one little safety tip, it's not recommended for any individual with a weakened or compromised immune system to consume raw or even slightly cooked sprouts. So being salad safe, just a couple more tips of food safety before we move on to the next salad layer. So one way as a consumer to keep you and your family safe is to check the label and the product itself and ask yourself these 3 questions you see on the slide. Is the product date still good? Has it been refrigerated? Does it look tampered with? If it's in date, it's been refrigerated, those are likely a safe selection. Now, if it looks like someone's opened the bag, if it's in a bag salad mix, then obviously you'd want to look for another option. So should you wash lettuce? So if it's a pre-washed bag of salad mix or greens and has maintained that proper refrigeration, like we said, and the date is good, then no, it is not necessary to actually wash our lettuce. Always important to read packaging labels when food shopping, and that includes salad too, not just our nutrition facts, but actually the package itself. So some words that you may want to look out for, phrases like washed, triple washed, ready to eat, or something that says that the product has been washed, and in these cases, it would not be required to wash that particular product. And so I wanted to share a couple examples. So the one on the far right, you can see it says thoroughly washed, ready to eat. And I believe that's actually what I ate as part of my salad in one of the first slides with the salsa. And then the middle is some spinach, which I use often for salads. You can see at the top, it says triple washed. But on the left-hand side, I've got a full bag of romaine here, and it clearly states wash before use. So if it tells you to wash, you want to wash it. What do you do when there's no label? No label, no problem. So if you don't see one of the ready to eat phrases that we mentioned on the previous slide, wash it. If the package says to wash before use, wash it. Now, if you're still not convinced and you want to rewash anyway, some of the ready to eat products, does it make it safer? And what I want you to think about is that keep in mind that these have been commercially washed, and whatever bacteria made it through that washing will also be resistant to further washing. So anything that we're doing at home is not going to take that away. And in this case too, when you rewash it, you're also increasing your risk of potential cross-contamination with utensils, surfaces, a colander, just as an example. All right, so you're still not there yet, right? And you still want to wash that produce, then follow these 4 tips to keep you safe. Number 1, wash hands appropriately. So we've all been washing our hands a lot extra these days, so continue to do so before you handle your produce. Second step, clean and sanitize any utensils and equipment that may come in contact with the salad. Step 3, use cold, running, potable water to thoroughly rinse your salad. And the final step is step 4, dry your salad, not with a hand towel, but going to be with clean, fresh paper towels. And I prefer using a salad spinner first, and then I blot with the paper towels, which has been really helpful. Also, another tip that I use is I'll take the bag salad when I first get it and go ahead and use clean paper towels, blot it, and put it in a glass container. It seems to help keep it a little fresher. So we are now up for our next salad layer, which is all about fruits. Marie?
Okay, thank you. I like the word that you use, customizable, because that just is the perfect segue into looking at trying some things that are different, but also using the things that you like. So Blueberries are in season right now. You can still get strawberries, but any fruit that you really like, I would encourage you to add a few. Some people are really cautious. They think about their, uh-oh, Wendy, we lost our PowerPoint. Ah, there it is. What can we say? It's Monday on a Tuesday, technical glitch. So I would say definitely, if you are cautious about adding a fruit to your salad, put just a small amount over to the side of your normal salad that you would have. Maybe it's a side salad with your meal, and just take a bite or two and blend it in. And I think you might be very pleasantly surprised, because it does change the whole flavor at times of the salad. But I would strongly suggest use things that you like, and there are lots of different things that you can use, whether it's fresh, frozen, or canned. You can add any of those type fruits to a salad, no problem at all. Next slide, please. So lean protein, and the number one tip here is it's a great use for leftovers. So for Mother's Day, we cooked on the grill, and you know, this is one of those times that you kind of stop and you think about the portions. Well, a steak you normally would get at the grocery store is 2 to 3 portion sizes. Well, I never eat more than the size of a deck of cards. So I always have enough steak to have on my salad for lunch for a couple of days. So it's a great use for leftovers. So you can actually create a whole nother meal out of this. But you can look at a lot of the other options too, whether it be seafood or poultry, tuna, eggs. Eggs are great on a salad. Um, so seeds and nuts, we're going to talk a little bit more about those as well. But beans, Wendy referenced beans. She added those as her protein in her salad, and her salad looked awesome. Kind of made me jealous. I think I'm going to go to Wendy's house to eat. So next slide, please. Beans. Again, this kind of reiterates what Wendy was talking about. They are a great source of fiber, and they also give you that full feeling. They're very inexpensive. I keep them on hand. I use a lot of canned black beans. I just rinse them and I throw them into whatever salad it is I'm making. You can store your extra, so if maybe it's more than you think, and use them a couple of days later. You know, just simply keep them rinsed, put them in the fridge in a little glass container. They will store for several days, and then you can pull those out and use the rest of them in another salad. So nothing would go to waste. I also would, it appears there's a rice dish there, but I actually have a quinoa recipe that looks really similar to that has the black beans, the quinoa, the cherry tomatoes, and a Italian dressing on it. So we have that recipe for you guys in the handouts. Next slide, please. Hummus is one of my favorites. It took a long time to get my husband to eat hummus, but now he really, really loves it. You can make your own. It's super simple. You know, you can, if you don't care for chickpeas as much, you can make it out of other things. Julie England shared with us yesterday that she used black beans to make a hummus. So my favorite is a little bit of tahini, garlic, lemon juice. You kind of put it all into a food processor. I add one thing at a time. So I would start with my chickpeas. I get them going really well. Then I would add my garlic. Then I would add the tahini, and then a little bit of lemon juice. And if I wanted it a little bit smoother, I would add about an ounce of really cold water, and it just kind of helps it to smooth on out. So hummus is really great as a side. You can use it in numerous different ways, but it's a great addition to a salad, and it's also, you know, going to give you that full feeling. You can eat it with raw vegetables. It's just really different way to look at it. Next slide, please. So this is quinoa. and we've got also rice, pasta and noodles. So a lot of us have gardens, and we are bringing in some zucchini. So you can make some zucchini noodles. Wendy calls those zoodles, and they are great. You just put them over into a colander and just kind of let them dry out a little bit. You may have to squeeze some of the extra moisture out, but it works great as a base for a salad. So you can add things, and really it goes back to Wendy's word, customizable. Everything is customizable. And I will share this, quinoa is technically a seed, but we do actually eat it like a grain. But these have lots of extra nutrition, and they are really good for you. So I would encourage you to try some of these if you have not before. Next slide. Dairy. We all love some dairy on our salads or in our dressings, but with dairy can also come increased amounts of fat, although you might be thinking about the calcium and things like that with cheese. Just have to balance things out. Everything on our plate should be balanced, but cottage cheese and low-fat cottage cheese is great with some fruit. Maybe it's on a bed of lettuce with some other vegetables. You know, add things that you like. Again, you can put things to the side, you can taste it. My favorite with dairy I would have to say is cottage cheese with actually pineapple. So that's one of my things, but I kind of lean more toward more of the pineapple and less of the cottage cheese. All right, so texture toppers. Wendy always also touched on these. So a little bit can go a long way, and remember your serving size of your nuts. So if it's more than the size of a golf ball in the palm of your hand, you know, that's a little, the size of the golf ball should be about the serving size. So, you know, you don't want to go overboard, but they can actually enhance the flavor. So if you want to put a few slivers of almond into your salad, that's a really great way to do it. My husband loves radishes. We have grown radishes every year in our garden, and that's one of our things that adds lots of crunch, has a little bit of a different flavor, but it also will give you some of those textures that you're looking for. I do use a lot of green apples. I will chop an apple and place that into our salad. So croutons, just think about things that you really like. I do have a neighbor that uses pretzels. They'll break up a few pretzels and sprinkle it on top of their salad. It's not my favorite, but they do it all the time. So look at the things you like, and remember, this is your salad. You can make it any way you like. So next we're going to the salad dressings. Salad dressings really can enhance, but they also do add calories. My husband loves just to spritz his salad with lemon, like fresh lemon. So I can take a lemon and just quarter it and put a couple of quarters on his side of his salad, and that's what he will use. Some of us like more creamy based salad dressings, and if that's the case, then try to add either maybe yogurt or some little bit healthier options to create those dressings. But a salad dressing does kind of bind together some of the different types of salads. So you think of coleslaw or broccoli slaw, things like that. So that's where those type things come in. But they add a lot of flavor and a lot of seasonings to sometimes some otherwise not as flavorful types of lettuce. I'll put it that way. So next slide, please. We are going to talk about mayonnaise. Think about some of your options here. If I make dressing at home, just to pacify my husband, I will put just a little bit of mayonnaise in there, but the majority of it will be either hummus or Greek yogurt, just to thicken it up and gives it a really, really good flavor. I have not used cottage cheese as a substitute before, but I think I might try that. I will also tell you that mustard actually is a good emulsifier because it will help everything really blend together and it won't separate. So that's a really good option too. But do read your labels, really pay attention to what you're looking at, because if this is your goal to eat healthier and you're using salads as one of those avenues to eat healthier, then you want to make sure that you're following through, and that includes the dressing. So next slide, we're going to talk a little bit more about some salad dressings. And in your slide handout, there are numerous salad dressing options that you can try. But remember that salad dressings are a big source of calories in a lot of the commercial products, and they have a lot of sugar and a lot of sodium because that's what, gives them their great flavor, but also helps to preserve them for that long shelf life. So be sure you do read your labels and pick your healthier option. And then also don't be afraid to try to make some of your own. So next slide over, please. So that's why we gave you a whole wide variety of different salad dressings. So you can create your own, and Julie reminded me that portion size is really important, and that's something that goes back to your label reading on your salad dressing. So it's usually like 1 or 2 tablespoons is a serving, and if you're like my family, my son would drown the whole thing. So it would be a mute point for him to have a salad. He would run it with the dressing. So making your own salad dressing would really make you have more control over what's in it, and then also how you flavor it, because you can add things that you like. So for instance, this particular recipe is a classic French vinaigrette, and it's 3 to 4 parts of oil, 1 part acid, either a vinegar or a citrus, and then you add whatever other seasoning that you really like. You just whisk it together really well. You slowly add olive oil. Now, I will tell you, if you're doing this in a food processor, do it on low, because if you spin the olive oil too fast, sometimes it can burn depending on how powerful your machine is. So doing those by hand sometimes, or just shaking it up in a jar, is probably best. But making your own is great. So experiment. This goes back to Wendy's keyword, customizable. So we saved a whole bunch. I'll compile some of our favorite recipes, and so just use the healthy ingredients. Choose healthy oils. You can make up a dry mix and save time. So I do have a friend who does that. She makes up her dry mix, and then when she gets ready to use it, she just pulls out as much as she needs and throws it in. She knows exactly how much oil to add to it, shakes it up, and she has fresh dressing. So don't be afraid to try different things.
And Marie, before you go on, I just realized that I did not include this particular handout in
Okay.
the handout packet. And so it will be, when I send out the follow-up email that'll come tomorrow afternoon, I will make sure that I include that as well. I'll just add it on to the other handout. So even if you've already downloaded the recipe handout, you'll want to do it again. And I'll tell you, the cucumber dill dressing that's on there is delicious.
Yum.
It is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Next slide is about choosing healthy oils. So, a lot of times we see something and we say, oh, wow, that's got to be wonderful for us, because you think coconut oil, well, you think about coconut and what have you. But if you really look at the slide, you will see how much of that coconut oil is actually saturated fat. So I had a group of culinary kids I worked with, and I could not convince those kids that coconut oil was probably not the best choice for their healthy recipe. So I finally asked them to go and get coconut oil and canola oil and bring them back, and we were going to have a conversation. So I asked them to describe to me the state of the canola oil, and they said, you could see through it that it was liquidy. And I said, okay, now describe the state of the coconut oil. And they said, well, it's solid and it's white. And I said, okay, well, what have we learned? I said, if it is a animal oil, then we know that it's going to be more unhealthy for us. But a plant oil is going to be better. But coconut oil is one of those that kind of floats on the other side of the realm, and it's just got more saturated fat. But if you just have to really understand that if it's not a fluid liquid, when you see it at room temperature, that it's not going to be really good for you. So we want to look for those oils that are more of the monounsaturated and the polyunsaturated and have very little saturated fat. So the canola oil and your safflower oil and sunflower oil. I love avocado oil. And of course, olive oils are really good for you. So the only exception to the meat product oils is fish oil, because fish oil is actually good for you. So I will also, just as a reminder, let everybody know, when you're reading things, do understand that those, if it says hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils, those are really harmful to our health, and we want to avoid those. So next slide, please, ma'am. So this talks about olive oil, and I always love explaining this to people. The extra virgin olive oil is really the most flavorful, and it's a little bit stronger, and some people do not like that strong of a flavor, but I absolutely love it. And it's just literally the crushing of the olives. They don't use any heat or any chemicals. But on the flip side of that, a light olive oil is really a good pure olive oil. It's just got that lighter flavor, but it is a little bit more refined. But if you go down to the olive pomace oil, they actually are using the pulp, and the byproduct of the milling process is that pulp, and then they use heat and different ways of extracting the oil from that pulp. So it's not going to be as good, and it's got a lot of different solvents and things, so it's not as pure as the extra virgin olive oil. But it's probably not the worst oil we could eat either. So it's just not as favorable as the EVOO. So, and we're back around to those customizable, creating healthy salads. So remember, please use what's on hand. Look at your vegetables, and don't say, just because I don't have something fresh, that I can't add it to my salad, because you can add canned or frozen fruits or vegetables, either one. You can put grains in there, whether it be rice or quinoa or the bulgur, any of those things. Another tip is, though, also that if you have leftover rice, you can freeze that really well. Proteins you can add, whether it be beans or maybe tuna, things like that. You can add those on there too, or those leftovers again. So next slide, please. So if you are limited on time, you can always prep the night before. You can buy pre-cut fruits and veggies. Again, you can go back to those pre-portioned sizes of frozen things or what have you. Plan meals that will include leftovers to go into your salad the next day. That goes back to us grilling on Sunday, and we have enough to have steak on our salads for the next 2 days. So we had that last night, and we'll probably have it again today. Make salads that will keep longer, like the bean salad or the quinoa salad. The recipe that's included in the handout, those are things that you can keep in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days very easily. Don't forget your convenience products, the salad spinner, a mini food processor if that's something you have in your kitchen and you have access to. you can use that to make your hummus, but just be thinking ahead. Next slide. So these are fun to make, and I do this with my 4-Hers sometimes just as a health and nutrition lesson. It's so simple for them to be able to pick out things that they really like and then build a salad. So they can build that salad and take it with them. I think it's really great way to teach them about eating the colors of the rainbow, just different things like that. But they are awesome, and it's a great way for kids to self-select the items that they really want to eat, so you don't feel like you're throwing things away. So this is how you build it. At the bottom of the jar, you would put whatever type dressing you would want, and then you would put something that is going to be more moisture resistant. So maybe your cherry tomatoes, something like that. If you're going to add a protein in there, then maybe you could put some black beans on the next layer. Then you'll start with your softer veggies and fruits and just keep going to the top. Your toppers, such as your nuts and seeds and cheese, if you choose to have those, put those at the very top, or you can leave those out separately in a Ziploc or whatever. So then you would top it with your salad greens. Use, I guess we have a typo on there. We're going to cover it with a lid and store in the fridge. You can build those, and generally, you know, they're good for a couple of days in the fridge. So you can maybe do 2 on Sunday night, and then you'd have one for Monday and Tuesday and rebuild on Tuesday night. So that's a really great way to do that. They are really delicious, and they hold their flavor well. All right, so this is your sensational salad. So remember, start with a base of something you love, add interest with your fruits and veggies, whatever protein you like, whether it be a meat source or beans, things like that. Texture it up and then dress it up. And remember, you can put that dressing on the side. So now we will open this up for questions.
Alrighty. We have one question we'll get to, but I do want to mention that when you're freezing rice, the way I like to do mine is I'll spread it out on a cookie sheet in my freezer and get it all frozen. Then I'll break it up and throw it in a freezer bag, because that way you can pull out as little or as much as you want. Because if you just cram it in a bag, you've got one big block of frozen rice that you've got to thaw and use. So I do that for salads, and also if I make like stir fry rice at home, it's a lot more convenient. And
So I portion mine out into a size that I know is enough for 2 people, because there's only 2 of us at home, and I freeze mine in those small portion bags. So it works either way, absolutely.
right. So the other person in my house doesn't really like rice, so that's so like anything else, you got to customize your leftovers too. And so Marie or Wendy, do you have any thoughts? Somebody asked about rinsing your lettuce with vinegar to see if that would kill any extra germs. And it's my understanding that really the research doesn't show that it makes any effect. Is that your most recent research you've read?
So NIFA will recommend, they said you can use a half a cup of distilled white vinegar per 1 cup for like your green leafies, and then do a clean rinse after that, just running water. But the biggest thing is that yes, it may reduce some of the bacterial growth from there, whether it's, but it's going to definitely impact your texture and your taste.
That's where I was going to, is yes, you can do that, but it will, yeah, definitely affect the taste, I'm afraid. The quality of the product at the end of the washing.
So Wendy, somebody asked what were the greens in our last slide. So what was the last slide again? Go back a slide again.
Hopefully I can, here we go, perhaps.
Oh, is that watercress?
It looks like it. I'm not 100%.
Or baby spinach, maybe?
It's not my personal photo, so it does look like watercress a bit.
Yeah, it does.
So that's a definite maybe on watercress. So are there any other questions?
Well, I have to tell you guys, I wasn't able to jump in the chat and because it would have messed up the flow of the slides, and it killed me not to get in there and chat with you guys this time.
I was very chatty, Wendy. So,
Well, good. I'm glad, but it was painful. But I'm glad y'all joined us.
and so the recipes that are on the handout, including the one that you'll get tomorrow. Sorry, I forgot the one with the salad dressing mixes. There are all some really great recipes. They're mostly ones that Marie and I have done. And so I'm a huge fan of making my own dressing. It's fun to play with it, and it's fresh, it's easy. You can watch how much sodium you put in there. So I do suggest you try some of the recipes that are included.